Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Commodity TV here at the Precious Metal Summit in Zurich. And it's my honor and pleasure now to talk to Eddy Solbrandt. He's the COO of KEFI Gold and Copper. Welcome, Eddy. Good morning. How are you?
I'm good, Jochen. How are you?
Perfect. Thank you very much. Well, actually, good morning is good. We just had lunch.
But it's morning somewhere in the world, I'm sure.
KEFI Gold and Copper. What is the company about? Maybe you can give us a short overview on that.
Well, obviously, we're an exploration company going into development. We're in an extremely hectic and exciting phase of development right now. We've got projects in Saudi Arabia and in Ethiopia. We're in credit with the banks at the moment for a huge facility. And Saudi Arabia is pumping along massively. We're in DFS with one of our projects, hoping to complete it early next year. Second project, early DFS stage, and hope to be done by early 2024. You know, inshallah, as they say in Saudi Arabia.
Okay, super. So let's start with Ethiopia. I had already a view onto your last quarterly activities. That looks really interesting. I mean, it's I think $320 million investment, and you have interesting banks in there. You bring some money. The Ethiopian government brings money. So can you give us a bit more project details? What is the project all about? What would be produced finally per annum, IRR, etc.?
Yeah, we're targeting 140,000 ounces a year, 7-year life of mine as it stands right now. Grade is 2.1 grams per ton. So a good grade, very vanilla, lycopodium CIL plant. We've got a contract miner, PW Mining, who will be doing the mining for us. And we're going underground. We'll start underground drilling probably in the first year of production, early if we can get to it, and hope to be underground exploiting the resource there in about 5 years' time. Grade looks initially quite good, running at about 5.5 grams per ton underground, open at depth. So it's exciting times there. We're ready for start once we get credit approval, which we hope will be by middle of December. Equity starts to flow, and we've got a large relocation task. We've got 1,700 families, 1,700 people to move, 300 families approximately, over an extended period of time. And that sequence, of course, with our build.
Okay, super. And how is it these days to work in Ethiopia? Because I think there was some months ago, there was a little bit of a turmoil. And so what is going on there?
Well, our biggest problem at the moment appears to be what I've heard today, malaria. We've got a bit of a malaria problem out in the west where we're working, but we're working to resolve that with our communities as well. We'll probably put a bit of funding in to relieve that. Yeah, Ethiopia is an interesting place. There are conflict, as you hear, in this part of the world, in Amara still, but that's so far from us that it doesn't really matter. There are peace talks going on between the government and the OLA, which we're quite optimistic about. This is the second round of talks, and we're hoping that'll be sorted out. But let me say this. On our site, we've never been attacked. Our people have not been attacked. We've got people working out there, locals working out there. They've never been threatened. So whilst there is a lot of activity around us, we need to be quite cautious. Our independent advisors tell us that we're a medium risk location compared to places like Burkina Faso and Mali and other hotspots. So we're ready to go.
Okay, super. Ready to go means when do you expect the first gold production?
Good question. If we start early next year, we're looking at about 2-year build time. So what's that, early 2026, mid-2026, depending on how heavy the rainy seasons are and all those natural events, right? Yeah.
Okay, super. How can you handle the transfer of currencies? Because the Ethiopian birr is, that's a kind of the currency there is probably not easy, to get it into a free float. How do you handle that to get money out of the country?
It's not an issue anymore.
Super.
It's not an issue anymore. We were going for a dispensation with the National Bank of Ethiopia, but they've changed the proclamation. So getting offshore accounts, I mean, as you know, we get paid in US dollars for our gold. We'll transfer money into the country as we need it, but our contractors and others get paid outside in US dollars. That's no longer an issue in Ethiopia.
Super. That sounds great.
great
Perfect.
news there, yeah.
Then let's come to Saudi Arabia, because I think you are one of the first projects I ever heard about that Saudi Arabia with mining and with a Western company. So how does that work? I mean,
well, Jochen, 2008 we were in Saudi Arabia, and nobody was talking about Saudi in 2008. It's been a long, long slug, and as in all jurisdictions where you have to pave a lot of ground, it's been, you know, one step forward, one sideways, one step forward, one backwards. But in the last, well, I'd say 3 odd years, things have turned dramatically in Saudi Arabia. There's a lot of consensus building. I think a lot of internal debate in Saudi how best to move its economy into the 21st and beyond centuries. And mining is one of their pillars of growth. To the point where, you know, they are now determined, and we have in the Ministry for Industry and Minerals a small division, or a small department, I think it is, that is called mining facilitation. And these people make things happen for you. So if you have a problem, you go, you know, there's a pole there that's in the wrong place for electricity. Can we move that? It's done. All right. They open doors to ministers, which can be sometimes quite frustrating in these jurisdictions. It's the most remarkable I've seen anywhere in the world. Wow. The Saudis are putting effort into this. They're putting talent, I mean, seriously talented people behind this, and a will with the capital that only, I guess, the Saudis can do.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because normally in Saudi Arabia, you think about oil. Oil, and then maybe gas.
Yeah. And you make a good point. It's a big transition because you'll know as well as I do, there are many mining companies and oil companies, vice versa, that have decided, well, yes, all geology will go into mining as an oil company or vice versa. And they've never made it successful. There's very few hybrid countries. Now you're looking at the mentality of a nation to change and to accommodate this new area of endeavour. So a huge task, but the Saudis are tackling it with aplomb.
Okay, and this is where you also have the copper then in, because we are only talking about gold by now.
Yeah, well, it's gold, copper, both. We've got 2 projects in DFS at the moment. As I said, JQ is gold, low-grade gold and copper. We've got a VMS further north in Hawiyah, and I think the Hawiyah VMS is probably in the top 15 percentile in the world as far as VMS goes. We've picked up further licenses. We picked up another license towards the south of JQ, which we're very pleased about because it extends life and also resource. But also we've picked up, I think, further 14 exploration licenses. And that, I think, is a function of us being in country for a long period of time, formed a lot of relationships. And we've got an amazing Saudi partner that we deal with. It's the Al Rashid family. Very honourable, very good to deal with family, other construction business. And they certainly help to open doors for us as well.
Okay, super. What is the timetable there to, let's say, maybe go in production or whatever to develop those projects?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm a pessimistic optimist. So I'll say...
Let's call it conservative.
Yes, rather conservative. Yeah. Look, I think we will be in a position somewhere middle of next year to look at, you know, getting into production, not getting into production, to start construction, and give it 2 years for construction, all going well. So, you know, let's say early 2027 for JQ. Hawiyah is probably trailing a year to 18 months behind that, you know, depending on what we find and how progress is made there.
Super. Sounds like a straightforward plan. Who are your major shareholders?
Well, management 7%. So, you know, we as management have an enormous amount of money invested and time, and we've got a reason to make this work. We've got one institutional shareholder, but generally it's the public, yeah.
Good. So widely spread. Fantastic. Thank you very much for the insight, Eddy. Yeah, wish you all the best. Merry Christmas. And I would say bring Ethiopia and Saudi Arabia in production.
Thank you very much, Jochen. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that was Eddy Solbrandt, the COO of KEFI Gold and Copper. And you heard it, Ethiopia and Saudi Arabia. Both countries, the projects will be brought into production. And with 2025 in Ethiopia, hopefully production starts there, and then 2027, let's maybe 2028 in Saudi Arabia. Then you have a company on 2 countries with 2 to 3 mines. So that's really, really interesting. And gold and copper, the right metals. Check it out. Thanks for watching us, and bye-bye from Switzerland.